Barbara, I don't care if I'm not in the appointment book. He told me to be here as soon as they got back from the Fountain of Immortality.
I said 1 second. I'm gonna put you on hold.
God damn it.
Hello?
Bertram? Bertram?
Yes. Why aren't you in my office? Why are you calling?
Barbara won't let me in. I told her I was here for your meeting, and she said I'm not in the book.
Barbara! We have a very important guest. Let him in, you stupid fucking cunt. Okay, come on in.
Thank you, Barbara. By the way, that ass looks awfully fat. Have you had it fingered in the office lately?
Don't speak to my wife.
Actually, I know you haven't.
Don't speak to her that way, Dr. Xavier. What are you...
Women can have colon problems, too, Bertram.
You can't come into my house and speak to my secretary that way.
Oh, whatever. You know she was trying to keep us apart, and I am here. You told me to be here as soon as you got back from the Fountain of Immortality.
Yeah, well, you're not fingering my asshole. No, that's not what we're doing. No.
Okay, well, we'll see about that. We'll keep...
No,
we'll keep on this
absolutely
discussion.
not. We will not see about...
Bertram,
I'm the one in charge!
it's important to have your colon and your rectal checked every day.
Every day I was in that damn hospital, you checked it. It's fine.
And now you've been out for God knows how long.
What does that have... Dr. Xavier, that's not why I brought you here. I have a very special task for you.
Right.
Do you remember our special task?
Oh, yeah, I mean, I've been going over onto Big Red Penis Island and...
Don't speak so loud, Dr. Xavier. Do you...
Right. Keep it on the hush-hush.
Do you gay people not have some sort of filter? Do you not know how loud you are?
No, that's silly. No, we don't really. We don't quite have a filter.
Okay, well...
But I'll try to keep it on the hush.
Shut the fuck up! This is serious, Dr. Xavier. This is very serious.
Okay.
This is a little different this time around.
Well, what do you mean?
What have you heard about the disappearances on this island?
Well, I mean, people are pretty up in arms out there.
What are they saying? Who do they think it is? What do they think it is?
Well, I mean, I think the goats kind of attribute everything to, the big thing on the island.
Yes,
but
very well.
I think all of the visitors kind of think that you're behind it.
What do you mean by visitors? Who?
Oh, just like Tristan and Beverly and all of those people.
Oh, well, of course they think I'm behind it. But that's ridiculous, right? I'm not behind it.
Well, you haven't been banishing people again, have you, Bertram?
No, Dr. Xavier. I would never banish anyone, except for you if you don't listen to me.
Oh, okay. Now, don't threaten me with banishment. I thought we were over that.
No, we're not. We need someone to scare everyone, and they need to see it. There has to be eyewitness accounts of a big red dick attacking everyone. That's where they're disappearing to.
I see. Okay, so you're trying to get people, you're trying to get some more, you want me to get over there, tell Big Red, on the hush-hush, that he should come over here and do what he does, what you've kind of agreed to, but that way everybody will see it, and then maybe the other goats, when they start talking about it, they'll start talking about the fact that it's Big Red. We'll have so many eyewitness accounts that nobody will blame you. That's what you're trying to get done?
Yes, that's exactly what you've caught on quick.
Sometimes it helps just to cut through the shit and tell me exactly what you want.
I guess that's why fuck you, but I guess that's why they call you Doctor. So, you know the best assholes around here, don't you? The tightest.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
So, here's what I want you to do. I want you to round them up and tell them you're doing a study on them.
Okay.
And then you take them all the way over to Goat Island and you make sure somebody has some sort of smartphone.
Okay. You want me to take them all the way over to the edge?
Yeah, take them to the edge and make it enticing. We don't want Chris to think that we want him over here, but we definitely want it, to be a gruesome scene.
I see. Right. Okay. Now, just to be clear, I just want to make sure it's possible. I mean, Chris has been very irritable since you started having me give him the testosterone blockers, and
yes, I'm aware of this.
I'm just thinking he might do something pretty bad to these goats. I mean, so we're kind of like setting these goats. But they might as well be lambs being set up for slaughter. I mean, basically, is that okay?
What the fuck would I care, Dr. Xavier? No, that's fine.
Well, you're the leader, so I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of the implications of what you'd be getting into.
It's my plan, of course I knew.
Okay.
Do you think I'm dumb?
No,
Step over to the left.
No, I'm not gonna stand on the goddamn trap door. By the way, it's so obvious that this is a trap door. Well, the whole floor is wooden, but then there's a carpet square right here that doesn't even fit over the gap that you've cut in the floor.
It's a rug.
It's a rug that, look, when I move it, I can clearly see the complete outline of the trap door.
Get out of my office, Dr. Xavier. Go.
Is there someone down there? I hear something scooting around.
No, except for maybe you soon.
No, I'm not going down there. No.
Maybe you.
No. Okay, so I'm gonna go, and I'll make sure that this all gets squared away. But you do want me to continue giving him the testosterone blockers?
No,
right?
Maybe like a placebo tonight.
Oh, okay.
You know, like birth control pills, how sometimes it's a placebo. You know, we want to get him really horny tonight.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, that totally makes sense.
So can you do that? Do you want to continue fucking everyone's ass who comes into your hospital, doctor?
Well, of course I do. That's part of what I'm concerned about, doctor. You're asking for my A-rank asses. If I give away all my A-rank asses to be killed by Big Red, what am I gonna fuck?
Just wait until the children of the A+ asses grow up.
Oh, yeah, or just get them now.
Haven't you been working on the breeding project?
Well, yeah. And we've been trying to get the tightest asses bred, and...
it's not like goats take that long to mature, Dr. Xavier, and, we've had pretty lenient discussions in the past about what you are and aren't allowed to do.
Yes, I know, and I've been trying, especially with the breeding project, to try to make as much of, the perfect goat, and that's a lot of what my studying is fingering every asshole, fingering what it looks like, fingering how wet it is, so that way I can make, when I go into the lab, the perfect ass. Now, that's really, I think, gonna help with the goat trafficking.
Yes, exactly. So, maybe take the B+ assholes.
Okay, yeah, I think that's a good idea, because even a B+ to Big Red is great.
Okay. Get out of my office.
Okay.
Whoa. Oh, hi, Dr. Xavier.
Hi, Sister Marble.
What the fuck is the Marble doing here? Sister Marble, leave. This is a private meeting.
Whoa. I just wanted to say that, when we came back from the fountain, I waited in the office forever, and, Sister Carissa and Tristan never came back up the stairs after you left them behind.
Did you look for them?
Well, no, because after the bookshelf closed, I couldn't get back down the tunnel, and I needed to choose the book.
Okay, if we go looking for them, will you stop crying?
If we find them...
Okay, come on, sister. Come on.
See you later, Bertram.
Goodbye.
Good luck, Sister Marble.
Don't fuck me.
Oh, I'm not gonna fuck you.
Who the fuck is knocking on my fucking door at 9 at fucking night? Why the fuck is somebody knocking on my fucking door? Who is it?
So sorry, Sister No. It's me, it's Dr. Xavier. It's time for Chris's monthly injection.
Okay, well, doctor, I gotta tell you something. What you're doing is not working. He's been angrier than usual, so be on your best behavior.
Oh, I'll be as good as I can do. Nothing I can really do.
I don't think he wants his ass fingered tonight.
Well, has it grown in yet?
Has what?
His asshole.
It's tiny still. Really small. I could barely fit my pinky in there.
Don't tell him it's real. Keep telling him it's a wound, okay? And one day it's gonna turn into the nicest ass on the biggest cock, and I'm gonna fuck it.
No, you're not. You're not gonna fuck my husband.
Yes, I am. Yes, I will.
Okay, well, come in. Chris! Chris! Chris!
What did I say about calling me that?
Calling you by your name?
I haven't gone by my birth name since the year 11.
So you're so irritable right now, I can't even call you by your fucking name. Your doctor is here, and I told him all about what's happening.
You told him I'm extra angry?
Yeah, Chris, you hit me the other day.
Oh, Chris. Physical violence. Let me write that down.
He's been really different recently. He's been just angry. I don't know what it is about him. It's just like he has this look in the eyes like he wants to fucking rape me, but he can't because I like it every time.
I'm just so dried up ever since we've become monogamous. Honestly, no, I think that's the biggest problem.
So you saying you don't want to fuck me anymore?
No, I definitely want to have sex. No, that's not what I'm saying. Listen to me!
Doctor, please do something. This is getting... He's being really mean. I'm a terrible person, and he makes me scared. Please, help him.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a little scared too, and I'm also covered in spit because this young man can't stop spitting when he's angry.
I know, isn't it so fucking annoying?
I'm just gonna give him a quick shot.
I don't want a goddamn needle if it's gonna put me to sleep, Doc.
It's not gonna put you to sleep. It's just gonna calm you down. It's a tranquilizer.
Okay, good. Come here, baby. I'm gonna get him nice and hard so you got a good vein. Come,
God,
baby. Come on.
that feels kind of good.
Right? Come on. Halfway there. Come on, champ.
That should be good. God, Chris. God, you look so good.
Isn't it a marvel to behold? I mean, look at it. Just look at it.
Don't mind the bulge in my pants, Chris. I am a professional doctor, and I will...
He ain't lying.
Guys, it's okay. It's just for my spank bank.
He's got a bulge.
I'm not gonna do anything wrong right now, but this, I've gotta take a mental picture. Click, click, because this is gonna go in my spank bank. Alright, Chris.
Come over here, doctor. He can't hear us when he's all the way up here. There's his little sphincter.
Oh my, oh.
Chris, he's looking at your bullet wound.
Yeah, oh, Chris. Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
Right?
To get that
It's kind of growing in. It's
My God.
tiny, isn't it?
I think it's a really good idea that you had to put a little bit of the ass growing medicine in his testosterone shot.
But look, every relationship needs ass play.
You're right, and it's not your fault that you fell in love with a sentient penis who, of course, doesn't have an asshole because it's a penis.
Well, I mean, who said I fell in love? He's my partner, but a little...
That's a little presumptuous, I guess. Chris, quick pinch. And we're just gonna get you injected.
Oh, fuck. Oh, Doc. Oh.
I got your big ass Band-Aid ready. Hold on. I gotta step on it to peel it up. It's so big.
We just got one more shot. This is your special elixir, your medicine, okay?
Yeah! Ugh, I don't like needles. You'd think for something so big I wouldn't even be able to feel the needle.
Well, Chris, you'd be surprised how big of a needle you need for a 36-foot tall sentient penis's veins.
It's pretty fucking big. It's like the size of a baseball bat, baby.
Oh, well, I guess that makes sense.
Oh, God, doctor, don't look at me. I get so small after I deflate.
Baby, it's okay.
Chris, we totally understand. Don't get me wrong, this isn't going anywhere near the spank bank like before, but you're still a handsome little penis. Everybody's a grower, not a shower. It's okay, Chris.
Dr. Xavier, he's here, Big Red. I mean, if you want to have sex in front of him, you can. Like, if you wanted to do something to me, I guess you could. You just need to get your dick wet or something. I don't know.
Oh, I don't know. Nothing gets me hard like it used to. I mean, you get me hard, as you guys can clearly see, but
Nothing really turns me on anymore. I just get so angry.
Well, so you know how you and Bertram have been running a goat trafficking ring since, like, the early aughts?
What?
Yeah, of course. What about it?
You doing what?
Yeah, we're running a goat trafficking ring, yeah.
Okay.
Sometimes humans have fallen victim to it, but most of the time we keep it goats.
Okay.
Well, some of the money that these two have made, Bertram and Chris, over the years, well, it started out just because they needed the help. I mean, Goat Island was in financial ruin, so Chris and Bertram came up with the idea together.
It's not like that. It was my idea. He needed the money. He came to me. I gave him an idea because I didn't want anything to do with him. And the only idea that I had turned him into the thing he hated the most. A rapist.
To be fair, I don't think he's ever raped anybody. Honestly, he seems like a virgin.
He's a fucking cuck boy.
He's definitely a cuckold. And in fact, he did actually have children at one point. But that we don't really like to talk about that. But anyway, we've been trying to develop the perfect goat sex specimen, right? And as a result, we have cultivated all kinds of different perfect asses and pussies, Chris. So right now, on the northern-facing boulders of the Goat Island, closest to where you guys are, it's a short, well, it took me a 3-hour boat ride over here, but with Chris, I mean, it's like you might as well you'll probably be there in a couple minutes.
Yeah, I mean, we could just topple him over into the water and roll him there.
Yeah, exactly. I'm very big, Doctor. Did you forget?
No, of course I remember. Trust me, I remember. That mental picture's gonna get me through a long, long time. But, Chris, we just moved all of these asses onto the north-facing boulder of Goat Island. They're there for the prime picking, and security hasn't installed the proper fencing yet.
Ooh. You know, it always was part of my agreement that I could go to Goat Island and fuck whatever I wanted after we came up with this idea.
I mean, you never told me about this, Chris.
Are you gonna stand in the way of me and the one thing that would make me happy, going and raping some goats?
I'm not gonna stand in the way of you, but I mean, you could at least ask for my permission first. I mean, fuck.
Well, do I have it?
Yeah, sure. You have a hall pass.
Great!
It's good to see you want to do some fucked up shit.
Great!
Kind of turns me on.
Turns you on.
Yeah, go fucking get all those goats.
Okay.
Go fuck them.
Alright. Getting halfway, I'm like a chode right now, a chub, whatever they call
Well,
it.
maybe we should leave the house first before you get all big.
Yeah, I guess it is kind of hard for me to get out of the door. Alright.
Come on. I'll open it for you.
Have a good evening, Chris and No. I hope you guys really enjoy what you guys get into.
Okay, Doctor, bye.
Bye.
Bye, Dr. Xavier.
Bye, Tristan.
Hey, Big Red, you going to do some fucking?
What's it to ya?
No, I just wanted to know if I had permission to mobilize the army.
Mobilize the well, I mean, if you think you've got
Do you want some security?
Oh, security. Yeah, bring them with me. We can really fuck these goats up. Me and my cadre of sex gremlins. You want to come, Tristan?
Do I get the rape?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm right there. Come on, let's go. How many soldiers you want?
When I said, do you want to come, I spelled it C-U-M, brother.
Oh my... Hell yeah, let's do it. I was born for this. Literally born for this.
Get the whole sex gremlin army.
All of them?
Yeah.
All million troops?
Oh, fuck. I forgot you've been breeding them. Just get like 20.
Okay, let's go. Come on, boys.
Hello and welcome to MOATAIF. We're back, folks. It's 2022, and at the time this episode airs, it's February of 2022. Hard to believe that this year is already speeding by so quickly. And it's taken me a second, but I've finally broken down my 2021 journal data. On January 2nd of 2021, I made a New Year's resolution that in 2021 I was going to journal every single day. At that point, I had journaled every once in a while, like whenever I felt the need to, or, I would do it for, every day for like a week, and then I'd miss a day and then not touch it again for 3 months. Mm-hmm. So I was like, I want to be more consistent with it because I really liked going back and looking at my journal, and I just like journaling. So I'm like, I'm gonna do it. And so that was one of the New Year's resolutions that I made last year. And folks, I was able to complete it. I journaled 365 entries, one entry for every single day of 2021, and put together a lot of interesting data. One thing that I wish I could have done, like if I had done a digital journal, and like typed this in a Word document or something like that, I definitely, absolutely would love to have put it all into like one of those word cloud things where it, shows you all of the words that you've used in your journal and makes them bigger based on the frequency that you used them. I think those things are cool, and I mean, I know that like just from looking through my journal and basically rereading my entire, year of journaling, it would be MOATAIF. I talk about that all the time. Recording MOATAIF, editing MOATAIF, censoring MOATAIF, uploading MOATAIF, recording MOATAIF. All that would definitely, I think, probably the number one word, and then probably number two, anxiety, stress. 2021 was a stressful year for sure, and not only that, but I also kept track of some sexual data and a lot of other things. So we're gonna get into some interesting stuff here. So if you are listening to the audio only version of this podcast, now would be a good chance to switch over to our YouTube channel, link in the description, where you can follow along with this little presentation that I've put together. After breaking down 365 journal entries. So without further ado, my 2021 journal data, a comprehensive breakdown. Here on the first slide, when I started making the presentation a couple hours ago, I just selected this one because it had 3 photos. My journal for 2021 is 3 journals.
It took 3?
Yeah.
Lord.
The first journal was already half full, the second journal completely, and then like 25% of the third journal.
Damn.
So I was going to put a picture of each journal in this template, but apparently it just makes me look like I'm a coffee lover because it's got coffee beans, an espresso being made, and a nice espresso milk art. I don't drink coffee, though, so this is just filler photos. So we begin, the first piece of data I came up with. Now, this is probably the biggest thing that I was able... The reason I was able to journal 365 days was by installing the oops date. Some days you just don't want to write at the end of the day. You're just too tired, or you're too busy, or you're doing things. So the oops date signifies when you actually sit down to write the journal entry, how far away from the date are you actually writing it? Because at first I would write like, okay, the journal entries, January 1st, 2021, and then in parentheses I'd put beside it, oops, January 2nd, because like I didn't actually write it until January 2nd. I don't know why I've always wanted to know that, but like when I'm writing my journal, I'm like, I'm not writing this on January 1st, but I'm writing about January 1st, so like, it's my January 1st entry, but whatever.
So is this like a point system?
It's not a point system. It's, so like oops plus 1 means that it was written the next day.
Oh, okay. What does the 71 represent?
There were 71 days out of the year that were an oops plus 1.
Oh, okay, I see.
So 71 oops plus 1s. So most of the days that, all told, at the bottom here, I've got 137 dates, 137 entries in my journal, or 38%, were not actually written on the day that they were supposed to be. They were an oops date. The most frequent oops date is +1, just writing it the next day. Obviously, they go in descending order, but the most, next most frequent was +2, 2 days later at 22. All the way down to the record, which is actually a whole week later, a +7, which happened twice in December. Most recently, December 15th and December 17th are the record holders for being written a whole week later. Sometimes you don't want to write that day because it was bad, and then the next day you're just like, well, I'm just bored and I'm lazy and I'm not going to write, and then the next day, and then it's a whole fucking week later. So a lot of the time I would keep notes in my phone and then go back and I basically wrote my journal entry in my phone, and then I would just actually go in and write it with the oops date.
That makes sense.
Books and reading. Now, this is probably the shortest thing that we'll talk about here. Because obviously, I know the most interesting thing is the sex data. That's obviously last. Because there were so many things. Like, I realized as I was basically rereading this whole journal is basically all I do is watch content, read content, make content. 2021 was my depressed year, I guess, and the data might reflect that. Books and reading, however, was definitely... I didn't mention many books because I didn't read many books. But I did mention A Promised Land by Barack Obama 6 times. And I mentioned The Chicken Sisters by KJ Del Antonia 2 times. A Promised Land by Barack Obama I got for Christmas. I asked for it for Christmas, and it was good. I really enjoyed reading it up until the part where, like, I loved all of, like, the pre-election and, like, getting elected, but then as soon as it becomes, like, a policy book where he's like, in March of 2009, I helped pass this specific boring bill by doing that. I didn't finish it. I couldn't finish it. He's going to write more editions of the book. I don't even know if I'll ask to have them. But of course, you know, I do love Barack Obama. The Chicken Sisters, we were walking around Barnes & Noble just looking for something to read. And we were drawn to, there are so many people with book clubs these days. And there's a whole section in Barnes & Noble just dedicated to books that you can buy that are supposed to be for a book club. Oprah's book club was, you know, one of the biggest ones, but one of the other biggest ones is Reese's book club with Reese Witherspoon. We read this. We read the back of this, the description. It's about two chicken shacks, two chicken restaurants who are competing on a reality show. Like a Food Network reality show to win money for, like, who's the best. It's like Food Feuds sort of thing, and whoever is declared in the episode the best chicken shack gets money. And the sisters work, you know, have an estranged relationship, and they are forced through bringing this show to their mom's poor-ass restaurant to work together and blah, blah, blah. It was okay. I didn't finish it. Podcasts. I didn't really think that I would have listened to that many podcasts, but I mentioned a lot of podcasts in my journal. Number 4, we've got tied Christie's Couch and the Cinemassacre podcast with one mention each.
What the fuck is Christie's Couch?
Christie's Couch is a Dance Moms podcast. Yeah, it's awful. It's a dance. She is one of the Dance Moms, and that is her podcast.
And you listen to that?
I've only one time apparently that I felt like mentioning, but a lot of the time it's Taylor has listened to that podcast.
Oh, okay.
And so I think it's probably like I mentioned it, like we were driving home and we listened to an episode of Christie's Couch.
Oh, okay.
It's really not good. The Cinemassacre podcast, a little bit better. A little bit better. I think it might be over, though, because they took a holiday break and then, like, just never came back. So I just kind of think it's over. Number 3, this was interesting because these are the podcasts that I listen to literally every day, every time there's a new episode. Ear Biscuits with Rhett and Link. And This Might Get Weird, which is Mamrie Hart and Grace Helbig's podcast. I mentioned those each 3 times in my journal. But folks, I mean, these are the podcasts that I listen to. I don't really watch Good Mythical Morning anymore. Haven't really watched it in 2022 so far. But I still listen to Ear Biscuits every time it comes out. Because the thing is I like Rhett and Link, but I think I don't like Good Mythical Morning anymore. I'm tired of it. This Might Get Weird, yeah. Every time it comes out on Wednesday, every week, it's my number 1 podcast. So it's surprising that I've only mentioned these 3 times here. Number 2, Because Mom Said So, with 6 mentions. Now this is the other Dance Moms podcast with. 4 of the Dance Moms have gotten together and started doing a podcast. Melissa, Jill, Holly, and who is that? Kelly. Each started. They're each on this podcast. Now the problem with this is it's just a Zoom call. You know, folks, a little behind the show here. RJ and I are recording our audio separately, uploading them to a shared drive. I download RJ's audio and sync up the 2 clips, and that's the way we've found gives us the best sound quality. Because Mom Said So is just the audio of a Zoom call.
That's so lazy.
I don't really like that. Yeah, like I don't really like that aspect of it.
Yeah, because then people will inevitably glitch.
Exactly, they glitch. You get background noise, or I mean,
sometimes they can't hear each other, and it's like, what? They talk over each other.
Yeah, exactly. They're like, "What'd you say, Holly?" Mm-hmm. It's an okay podcast. They have stayed away from talking about dance moms, which I think is like an interesting thing because they're trying to like distance themselves from it a little bit while also still like cashing in on the fact that they were on Dance Moms. So they've only talked about Dance Moms a couple times, and more recently, like the new episodes in 2022 have all been with guests that I don't give a fuck about. Like, it'll be Because Mom Said So's most recent episode at this point is called Therapy, featuring Celia Bahar. I don't know who the fuck Celia Bahar is. And so they've started adding guests. I don't care about guests. Just be your friends, be the people that, are in the show, and just let that be the show. I don't like when people... I mean, like, we have guests on occasion. Like, Bree, I don't really consider a guest anymore, but, like, we've had guests on. Abigail's done episodes. Hannah's done episodes in the past. For some reason, I just think that's different because we just include them in what we're doing. It's not like, it's not an interview.
Right.
I don't want to listen to an interview. But my number one podcast in 2021, with only 7 mentions, by the way, because like I said, I don't listen to that many podcasts, we're at a tie. Rob Has a Podcast and H3's Frenemies Podcast.
You listen to H3's podcast?
I do not. Only the Frenemies podcast.
Interesting.
It started because, Taylor watches TikTok, and so occasionally, like, clips from Frenemies would go viral. Or not viral, but pretty viral, but they would go, on TikTok, and she would show them to me, and they were pretty funny, because it's Ethan from H3, of course, and Trisha Paytas, who, I used to really hate, but then recently, I definitely don't like her. But recently, I just kind of realized, like, I'm like, okay, like, she knows she's stupid. Like, she's, like, playing into the fact that she's stupid. You know what I mean? Like, she knows that she's stupid, and she's doing things, and she's, like, funny about it, I guess. But once you stop taking her so seriously, like, once I realize, like, okay, everybody kind of hates Trisha Paytas, that's okay. You know what I mean? I'm like, I don't know. It was weird.
So she's, like, playing a bimbo?
Yeah, and I mean, she is a bimbo, but, like, I think that's what I'm trying to say is, like, the fact is, like, I don't know, like, I can't really describe Trisha Paytas. I mean, she's mentally ill. That's one way to describe her. But she's very funny. Like, I think because she just is herself on Frenemies. And a lot of the time, it's just Ethan kind of, like, making fun of her because she's so stupid. And I do like that about it, you know what I mean? So, like, it is funny. They get into a lot of arguments because they are frenemies, I guess. But, again, this is another podcast that ended because one of the episodes ended with a severe feud, and they have not recorded any other episodes.
Really?
Yeah. Now, Rob Has a Podcast. It kind of shocks me that it's the number one mentioned in my thing, but it kind of makes sense because the only episodes of Rob Has a Podcast that I've ever listened to are Survivor simulations, like the ones that we've recorded on our show. In fact, that's where I got the idea to do such a thing. Didn't even know Survivor simulations existed. Now, Rob Has a Podcast. Rob was a contestant on Survivor, a 2-time contestant on Survivor, and now he does like an insider podcast about literally just like any reality TV show. It's a little ridiculous. And so in that case, I don't listen to Rob Has a Podcast. I don't listen to, episode breakdowns of Survivor or like the live feed daily podcast about Big Brother. Like, I don't listen to any of that, but I love their Survivor simulations. So when those come out, I'll sit down and listen to a 3-4 hour podcast, and that's just what I'll do for the day. Apparently, I did that 7 times. So I was pretty surprised that those ended up being number one. Now, this is a little bit of a weird category. I only included board games because they're there, but I don't consider myself a gamer, but I mentioned a lot of games in my 2021 journal, and not only that, but I was surprised at how many like games I actually forgot that I discovered and played this year, because in my mind I'm like, well, the only games I like are Grand Theft Auto, which is true, but I discovered a lot of other things this year. So for gaming, one mention, all of these games, Clue, the board game, which I did actually play a lot that year with Taylor. Smartass, terrible board game, but I actually won the game of Smartass that we played with Taylor's family in West Virginia. Do You Know Me? Played this at Christmas with Allie, my mom, and Taylor. It's a game by the people who made What Do You Meme / For the Girls, and it's just like the person, it's whoever's turn it is, they lay out a bunch of things like, I've had sex with 3 people, I'm not vaccinated, and then the other team members have to say yes or no whether they think the dealer has done those things.
You did that with your mom?
Yeah. It was weird, yeah, because one of the questions that Taylor got was like, I've given roadhead, and like, she has, and she said that she had, and my mom guessed that she had, so it's like, okay. It was weird.
Okay.
At the same party, or no, that's not the same party. The same time that we played Smartass, we played Incoherent. It's another game by these fucking What Do You Meme people. Another fucking card game, but this is one that's, it has a damn tongue twister on it. Like one of the examples in the photo it says knit flick sand shill, knit flick sand shill, and it says that's Netflix and chill. So the person reads it out, holds the card up, and whoever shouts out the correct phrase gets the point. It was okay. NASCAR Rumble, our first video game.
Hell yeah.
From the PlayStation. RJ, we bought this and played it a lot together in the Roberts Retreat. And thank God the PS3, for whatever reason, or the PS4, is able to play PlayStation games, because I'm still able to play this to this day. I love this game. Haven't played it in a while, but at the beginning of this year, I played it. I was like beating all the championships again, unlocking all the racers. It was a lot of fucking fun. I love that game.
It's a really good game.
With 2 mentions, we've got For the Girls. Of course, I've played this apparently twice this year. I think both times, because technically, I think we also played it for the 100th. I bought it for the 100th episode of this show. And then since then, I've played it with Allie and my mom when they visited here, and with Taylor's mom. Not fun to play with your mom, guys. Skip Bow. The card game, it's kind of like Uno, but there's more piles, and you have to go in order from 1 to 12. It's a fun game.
I think I've played that.
Animal Crossing New Horizons, of course. What can I say? But listen, only mentioned it twice. It's not a big part of my life like maybe it was when I first got my Switch. This year I did start replaying it when they released like a big update. But a lot of the time, I only get on Animal Crossing to like hang out, quote unquote, with Royal Nicholas Benton. He'll be like, "We're all on Switch if you want to come over to the island," and I'm like, "Sure," and I just go over and tour and see them in in pixel form. Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. I don't really like this game, I gotta say, which is probably the reason why we didn't play it more, because this game, more than any of the other ones, has like automatic driving. I could sit there and not press any button, and yeah, I'd be in last place, but I would still, I'd stay on the track, I would go straight, I would accelerate, you know what I mean, instead of just sitting there at the start line. It will course correct you to keep you from falling off of the map. And
I don't know what version of this you're playing, because I've never seen Mario Kart do that. Maybe you're playing like 50cc or something. It
could be, yeah. I like playing it more.
This one is one of the more challenging Mario Kart games. The one that autocorrects the most is the Wii.
Oh, I see.
Because of the motion controls.
Well, and maybe you can turn it off too, and I just haven't fiddle-farted around with the controls. I'm pretty good at Mario Kart 8, I don't want to say, 2 mentions definitely does not encapsulate how much I actually played this game this year, because we definitely played it more than twice, but... we've definitely beaten all of the cups and everything, and And one of the things though is Taylor, for some reason, it really like triggers her like hands. She'll like cramp up her hands, and we can only play like 1 or 2 rounds, and then all of a sudden unless she's just doing, you know what I mean? Unless she's just doing one of those things like, oh, my hand hurts, you know, because she doesn't want to play. But no, if you're listening, Taylor, I believe you. Spore. Now, I had never played Spore before in my life by the makers of The Sims because I thought it looked dumb as fuck when I was growing up. It took me forever because I was like, okay, I'm gonna play Spore today. That's what I'm gonna do. And I got my laptop out and I bought Spore on the Origin store. And then it's like, hey, by the way, this game is so old, it actually doesn't play on your computer. And I'm like, great. I'm like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, I'd never like seen. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense, but I'm like, this is at least a 2015 MacBook. You know what I mean? So whatever. Even if I had updated it to the newest thing, it's like, well, it's still too old. I would need to go back in time to play it, and I did. I made a whatever it's called through Boot Camp. I made a separate load on this computer for Windows and played it in Windows. Had to do it that way. And then for months afterwards, after I had stopped playing the game, I still had the 2 loads on my computer. And when you would just hit power, it would automatically load on Mac, which the only thing I did on Windows. And the only thing I did on Windows was play Spore, so I'd have to like shut my computer down and then be like, fuck, because I forgot every fucking time. Until I finally just deleted the second boot.
Rip.
But I do like Spore. I had like one successful creature, one successful thing that I was really like tied to that went, a lot of generations. But then at some point it goes like to the tribal stage. That ruined the game. Red Dead 2. I forgot about this, but we actually played Red Dead 2, you and I, a couple times together in 2021. Mm-hmm. And we played as an old lady, 2 old ladies. I wrote their names down. I only remember Gam Gam was who you were playing as. And I can't remember what my character's name was. But I wrote that we had a lot of fun, like just at one point on the second time that we had played together. The first time we had actually like gone in and caused some mischief and done some shit. And the second time we played together, we ended up doing kind of like the old Mount Chiliad thing in Grand Theft Auto 5.
We were just crashing horses off the mountain.
Yeah, we were just riding stagecoaches as fast as they would go and just like driving off of cliffs and seeing what would happen. Killing horses, maiming them. It was fun. I really like Red Dead 2, but I haven't actually finished it. 5 mentions. We've got 3 games here. Grand Theft Auto Vice City in 2021. I did a full-on re-binge, replay of the game. Loved it. What can I say? It's definitely, obviously Grand Theft Auto 5 is the best Grand Theft Auto game. But Grand Theft Auto Vice City is my favorite game for sure. It still stands the test of time. And this was a huge thing that I forgot about this 2021. I discovered the Hitman series this year, the video games. And both Hitman and Hitman 3 come in here with 5 mentions each. These are great games. Endless replay opportunities. So much fun. I love, the actual missions are fun. Hitman 3 is the biggest letdown of the series for me because by that point I was expecting something like Grand Theft Auto 5. And instead they just kind of, they just really dropped the ball on that one. They were like, we're going to make the graphics look really good, but we're not going to, do anything that crazy. Okay, and these are our top 3 video games of the year. With 10 mentions, Super Mario Party. This makes sense. You can play this. I've played this with my mom and Allie, with Taylor's family, I took it to West Virginia, and I played it with Hannah and Bo and Royal. This is a fun game to play. I gotta say, though, this is the worst version of Super Mario Party I've ever played. It only has 4 maps. That's it. 4 maps. Some of the old Super Mario parties, like the one that I played on the Wii, had I don't even remember how many, but they had so many. And not only that, but the maps are so small in this Super Mario Party. They would take let's say on the old games they were 100 spaces that you could land on. In the new games it's 25, and you just circle. It's like, oh my god, fucking kill me. Where's the variety? Where's the... I don't know. So I was very disappointed in Super Mario Party, but I still did play it a lot. So, I mean, what can you say? Number 2, Hitman 2 with 12 mentions. Definitely the best Hitman game of the series. Hitman 1 sets it up really great, but Hitman 2, you know, it has even more missions than the first one. It's a better quality. There's more stuff you can do. They add new game mechanics. So much fun. This is actually the game that I've played the most because I would sit around and just play on the free play mode and try to slaughter literally every single civilian in the map. Doing that. It was so much fun, and I had it so methodically planned out. Like, I lure this person over here, and I push her over and feed her the piranhas, and once she's gone, I can flip the light switch, and the shop owner comes out, and I just fucking stab him in the back of the skull, and then dump him to the piranhas, and then I can go inside, and it was so much fun. So much fun. But number 1, and this was really surprising, but like I said, again, I'm not really a gamer. It's not that many mentions. I mean, if you think about it, for Hitman 2, 12 mentions, that's 12 mentions out of 365 possible mentions. That's not very many. Right. But number 1, after all these years, the number 1 game that I still... Do you have any guess?
I'm going to have to say Grand Theft Auto 5. Or Minecraft or something.
It's Minecraft. With only 13 mentions, so not that many more than Hitman 2. But this year, I definitely fell back in love with Minecraft because in my journal I started rewatching. There was a series that I didn't know happened, but Nova, Uberhaxer Nova, had done a live stream where he did a throwback, a 10-year anniversary to one of the Minecraft Let's Plays that he had done then. And I think it was I can't remember. It was I think it was No Mountain Survival because he used to do Try Mountain Survival. It was Quad Mountain Survival, something like that. Some sort of mountain survival. And it made me so nostalgic. I'm like, I'm going to go play Minecraft. I had this whole, and it always devolves into my same thing of finding a village, protecting it, building a wall around it. And then by the time I've sat there and placed 3 million stone blocks around this village, I'm done playing Minecraft for a year. So... that's gaming. I'm still surprised that Minecraft was my number 1 game this year, but I'd have to say, in my heart, it's Hitman 2. For films, guys, I mean, I watch movies a lot. I watched a lot of movies this year, and I wrote down a lot of movies this year, but I'm not including them all, because it was, easily 150 different movies that I actually, wrote their name down, including... our Halloween movie binge of 31 days and our Christmas movie binge of 25 days. It would just be way too much to go through to begin with. Those lists, though, of those 2 movie binges exist on Letterboxd. If I can figure out how, I'll link them below. But here are, at least from the ones that I mentioned, just movies that I wanted to talk about for 2021. This was part of our Christmas Emmett Otter's Jug Band Christmas. This is a Muppets special from the 70s. Lots of practical effects, a really cute story, and it's less than an hour long. It has a lot of good songs. I definitely recommend it, especially obviously around the Christmas season. But if you're into the Muppets, for sure. But definitely just in general, I really liked this movie. It made me feel really nostalgic with all of the miniatures and the actual practical sets, instead of all this CGI nonsense, high definition bullshit we're dealing with today. Halloween Kills. As part of our Halloween binge, we watched 1978 Halloween, Halloween 2018, and then Halloween Kills, which is the newest one. Loved this movie. I've already talked about it on this show though. Set. I don't know why that sounded so weird. Set. This is a table setting documentary. RJ and I watched it. I watched it before, but RJ and I watched this together when I was in Ohio most recently. I really love this little movie. I don't know what you thought about it. I think you gave it a similar score.
Oh, yeah.
I love the niche documentaries. Deep niche documentaries about strange people. I mean, the first time I watched it, really had me enthralled. I was like, oh my God. And when I first watched it, it almost brought tears to my eyes because I'm like, wow, I have almost 2 hours to just live in this world. And it doesn't feel like 2 hours at all. So I highly recommend it. It definitely, it was a really good movie, enough to watch it again probably within 2 weeks of watching it for the first time, I was willing to watch it again, and I probably will watch it again in my life. This year, in 2021, I watched all 8 Harry Potter movies. It started, I think we just did it in December. I had never seen anything past the 5th movie, so I had never seen Half-Blood Prince or either of the Deathly Hallows. Gotta say, it's gotta be one of the greatest movie series of all time. I mean, and it's definitely one of the best book series of all time. I mean, I'm sorry that J.K. Rowling is transphobic, but that's good. It's really good. And I was really surprised when I was rewatching it all these years later, having never seen the movies but still remembering the books from my childhood, being like, that's how, spoiler alert, that's how Dumbledore dies? Like, that's how they did that scene? Wait, they didn't even show this from the Deathly Hallows? What do you mean they don't even, focus on Lupin's relationship with Nymphadora Tonks? It's just crazy. And I did watch the 20th anniversary special, but it wasn't very good. Galaxy Quest. This is one of my favorite movies that I watched this year, starring Tim Allen, and it also has Sigourney Weaver and Alan Rickman in it. But the movie is about, it's like a knockoff of Star Trek. So these characters that are in a Star Trek series are contacted by aliens because the aliens have received the transmission of the Star Trek series, and they think that they are space commanders who can save them.
That's ridiculous.
It's so good. It made it I'm pretty sure I cried. I think I gave it a 5-star rating. I loved this movie. So good. And it's apparently it's like a cult classic, sort of one of these underappreciated movies. I definitely recommend it. I really liked it enough to talk about it here. The Oceans trilogy, Oceans 11, 12, and 13, I discovered and watched for the first time this year. I really loved them. I'm into a good heist. Obviously, the first one is the best. But I gotta say, in Oceans 12, there is a scene where Julia Roberts' character plays Julia Roberts because she looks like Julia Roberts. That was just fucking brilliant. I mean, just all around absolutely wild, fucking brilliant. In just the heist aspect of it, the action aspect of it. And I loved the returning cast. That's one of my favorite things, is just seeing a cast again and again and again in a film series. Like the Saw series, which I also rewatched this year. That's just one of my favorite things, is being like, oh, yep, there's George Clooney. And I did also watch Ocean's 8, which was a spiritual successor, starring Sandra Bullock, and it's an all-female. She plays George Clooney's character's sister. It's an all-female, and it was actually really good too. And I wrote something in my journal I would love to see Ocean's 9, a direct sequel to that, because I would. I really truly would. I'd love to see Ocean's 14, but guys, apparently they didn't like making these movies. Because they were contractually obligated, and now it's one of those things that George Clooney has said, if I ever make Ocean's 14, that I'm in a terrible financial place.
Damn, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so that makes me feel bad, because I really loved these movies, but they are obviously, they're common denominator, heist movies. But they're really, really good common denominator heist movies. Poseidon. I got into a lot of disaster movies this year, and talking about disasters even on this show. And Poseidon is a really good movie by the same guy who directed The Perfect Storm. I actually saw this one first, about a luxury cruise ship that is hit by a tidal wave and flips over. And the survival of trying to live, the group of survivors trying to survive a ship that is now sunken upside down and is sinking. Really good movie. And 2021's Best Picture of the Year winner at the Oscars, Nomadland. This movie, so good. Made me sob. It's about, it takes place in 2008 at the crash of like the financial crisis. And Frances McDormand, who won her 3rd Academy Award for being in this movie. Just ridiculous that she has 3 because she's deserved every single one. I don't mean that, but just she has 3. She stars as Fern, who she loses everything in the economy. Her husband dies, I'm pretty sure. And then she decides to just buy a van and travel around the country living as a nomad. And it interviews a lot of nomads that actually went through this. It has a lot of of heart to it. It warms my heart. I connected obviously with the character because she's like struggling to find her. Obviously she's like 70, 60, 50 years old. And now she's struggling, trying to figure out what the rest of her life is now that all this has happened. And, of course, so I connected, with the character a lot. It definitely a 5-star flick. But now we're on to television. Now this was the biggest one because this one, I watch a lot of TV, folks. A lot of TV. And by this point, it's the presentation starts to be a little less interesting to not watch. There's just not as many photos to look at, not as many animations going forward. It just kind of becomes text. But that's because this was like at 1:45, and I'm like, oh shit, we're about to record. So I love TV, and 2021 was definitely my TV year. I hope that not every year has this much TV in it. But folks, I was a college student at the beginning of the year, and then it was the summer, and then it was depression. So, I watched a lot of TV. Get over it. This is the only slide that has a bunch of photos. These are all shows that I gave one mention to. Survivor South Africa. Not a season that takes place in South Africa, but the South African version of Survivor. The D'Amelio Show. This was Taylor. But the D'Amelios, obviously Charlie and Dixie D'Amelio are 2 of the biggest TikTok stars. And now they have their own reality show. It's very much like Keeping Up with the Kardashians in the same vein, so that's like why I was able to watch it. Holiday Gingerbread Showdown. What can I say? Guys Grocery Games. Looney Tunes. My Strange Addiction. The Night Stalker, The Masked Dancer, Sister Wendy's Story of Painting, and The Simpsons. I think that's the last one. Let me see. Nope. Lovecraft Country. That's the last one. Now, the only ones I really want to mention beyond what I already did, The Masked Dancer started out as a parody idea on the Ellen DeGeneres show of The Masked Singer, which I already liked, as cringe as it is. And The Masked Singer then produced it with Ellen. They produced The Masked Dancer, where it was, basically the same concept, but the people would come out and do dances. It was dumb as fuck, but I couldn't get enough of it. Paula Abdul was one of the judges. I love Paula Abdul. She was the best part of American Idol. She's the best part of The Masked Dancer. But you know what I didn't like about The Masked Dancer? The host is Craig Robinson, who played Daryl from The Office, the black guy. Mm-hmm. I don't really like that guy. He's fine, but like every time I see him, I'm just like, okay,
there he is.
Yeah, exactly. Looney Tunes. Looney Tunes is on HBO Max. I don't know why HBO Max has Looney Tunes. I don't like, you know what I mean? It's just like really random. But Taylor and I got into this diamond art thing. My mom and Allie turned us on to it. It's basically you get this this design. And it's each thing is it's like a pixelated art kind of. And each pixel is a different color or the same color, whatever. And they're all diamonds that they give you. And the whole thing is sticky. And you just like take the right color diamond and you just, bedazzle it essentially. The only one that we were able to find within our price range was a Looney Tunes one. It is a huge picture of Bugs Bunny, just like a close-up picture of Bugs Bunny made out of diamonds. We haven't finished it yet. But we're going to use it as an Easter decoration because I was like, why are we, we just wanted to see if we liked this. You know what I mean? We wanted to see if we liked this new, like, diamond art shit that my mom and Allie were into. And it was at Joann Fabrics. It was on clearance, so I'm like, let's get it. Taylor's like, we can use it as an Easter decoration because he's a rabbit. And so while we're working on that, I'm like, what else are we gonna watch? Let's put on some Looney Tunes. And I gotta say, we picked a random episode. So many thoughts coming into my head. First things first, the Looney Tunes separates episodes into 6-minute shorts. So every 6-minute short is its own episode. Whereas like Courage the Cowardly Dog had 2 6-minute shorts in one episode. Or, well, 2 11-minute shorts in one episode. And they called that an episode. But then within one episode, there were 2 shorts. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Looney Tunes, it's just one 6-minute short. So it has like 1,000 episodes because they just count each 6-minute short as its own episode. Really weird. I never knew that. I just assumed every episode was like curated, like pick a Bugs Bunny, it's just weird. So when Looney Tunes airs on TV, they are just picking 3 episodes and putting them on because there's no episode that already combines. It's just weird to me. I never knew that. And a lot of the episodes are really racist. Actually, it's old, but yeah, a lot of the episodes are really racist. And yes, this year I also watched Sister Wendy's Story of Painting. We watched it in Mr. Reinhardt's class, and for some reason I rewatched it this year. It's so good. I love Sister Wendy. And then when we did Survivor MOATAIF Isle, Redemption Isle, I used Sister Wendy as the photo for Sister Carissa. So that's now what I think of every time I think of Sister Carissa. Except now she's in a wheelchair. Oh, and Courage the Cowardly Dog. I guess there was one more show. I did watch Courage the Cowardly Dog once this
Classic.
year. These are all 2 mentions here. We've got Blown Away, the glass competition show. Dinotopia. Tried to watch that this year. It wasn't very good. Lego Masters, a Lego competition show. Making It, the craft competition show, hosted by, you would hate this, Amy Poehler and Nick Offerman.
Ooh.
The Puppy Summer Games, which was on Discovery Plus. Really cute. It was a fun little competition, and we watched it with my grandma. Rick and Morty. I did watch season 5 of Rick and Morty this year on my phone. That's the only way I could watch it. It wasn't even good. I don't know why I keep watching it. Only Murders in the Building. Now, this is why I chose this as the only photo on this slide. I really liked this. I love Steve Martin. I watched the whole series. This was another one that once I got caught up to it, every time an episode came out, I'm like, oh God, I gotta watch the new episode of Only Murders in the Building. Excited for season 2. We watched The Great British Bake Off. How To with John Wilson came back for a second season. It's not as good as the first season. I'll say it. What can I say? It's not because of COVID, I don't think. A lot of people were like, he can't even make a second season. The thing is just like the first season was so... I couldn't believe... it was just like, wow, this is so new, it's so exciting, it's so different. And now the second season is just like, okay. Barefoot Contessa, the cooking show with Ina Garten. We watched a lot of that. I don't know why. The White Lotus, which is an HBO series. It's a mystery. Takes place in Hawaii, written by one of the guys who was a runner-up on Survivor. It was quite good. Hacks is the next show. This is an HBO Max original show that I can't remember. I think it won some Emmys, and I had never even heard of it, so I'm like, okay, I'll give it a shot. It's quite good. It's about a comedian, a female writer who gets canceled, a female, millennial-aged writer who gets canceled for an insensitive tweet.
I've heard about this one. The guy who directed School of Rock made it.
Oh, right. No, that's White Lotus. Yeah, that's White Lotus, because he...
Oh,
he
that's
did,
my bad.
Yeah,
I was looking at that one.
No, you're fine. Yeah, White Lotus was the guy who did School of Rock. He was also... The guy who did School of Rock was also a runner-up on Survivor. What was it? Survivor Davids versus Goliath. He was actually the runner-up on that. Mike White. Yeah. White Lotus was really good. I would definitely recommend it if you're into a little comedy, drama, mystery, more serious than Only Murders in the Building, but also funny. Hacks, though, is about the woman who gets canceled, and then she gets paired up with an aging Las Vegas comedian who's all washed up, and they're trying to revitalize their show. Breaking Bad, tried to rewatch it, didn't last very long. And surprisingly, the Cleveland show. In December, I started watching the Cleveland show again, and I'm actually kind of still watching it to this day off and on, weirdly. These are all 3 mentions. Nathan For You, of course, classic. Love Island, it was on after Big Brother, and Taylor thought she wanted to watch it. Money Hungry, now this was interesting. Money Hungry is a new, I think it's a Food Network competition show, so it was kind of weird. But the goal, it's kind of like Who Wants to Be a Millionaire. There's a certain number of platters that the guests have to get through. And so, like, the platter comes out, and it's plated nachos, but it's dessert nachos, and it's made with apples. What kind of apples are those? And all you can do is taste it. It's really interesting. It was dumb as fuck. Hosted by Kumar from Harold and Kumar. Halloween Wars, did not like this. Halloween Wars, hosted by Zach Bagans, did not like this. Competition show that pits together a pumpkin carver, a cake artist, and a sugar artist, and they have to come up with Halloween displays. I don't like any of the wars. There's Christmas Wars, Halloween Wars. I don't like them. The Great American Baking Show, listen, it's not as good as the British version, but we watched it. Halloween Baking Championship. Again, I'm not really into the championships on Food Network anymore. I used to really like them, but specifically on the Halloween Baking Championship, now they just have really insufferable hosts, so we don't watch it anymore. And like we discussed last week, The Golden Girls has made the list because right before Betty White passed away, we were in the middle of binge watching The Golden Girls. We have not watched it since. Sorry, Betty. 4 mentions. We've got The Morning Show, Apple TV Plus. I'm really blown away by how much I liked this show. The Morning Show is there was a book that was based on the actual real life morning show, or the Today Show, or Good Morning America, whatever the fuck, with Matt Lauer, where Matt Lauer was a sexual predator. And the first season of The Morning Show, this show, shows Steve Carell, his character Mitch Kessler, in the same situation, and the fallout of what happens on The Morning Show after Mitch Kessler is revealed to be a sexual predator. Outrageous Pumpkins, a pumpkin carving competition. Survivor Australia, again, not Survivor, but the Australian version of Survivor. And Getting On, which is a Laurie Metcalf show. Taylor and I re-binged it. Highly recommend. Great little comedy show here. CSI Vegas with 5 mentions. This is not the original CSI crime scene investigation that takes place in Las Vegas, but the revival series that was originally a mini-series starring some of the characters from CSI crime scene investigation, that has now been renewed and is now just another CSI terrible show. I will not be continuing watching it. And Curb Your Enthusiasm. Listen, they aired a new season this year. Larry, this was one of the weakest seasons yet. I'll say it. I feel like I'm the only person who has that opinion, because you see people on Twitter and they're like, this is brilliant. And every episode I just kept like waiting for like when it was going to be brilliant, and it never was. Number 6 here, a Family Guy and MasterChef both have 6 mentions in 2021. Family Guy, yeah, I'm still keeping up with it. Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say it, but listen, when it's a show you've watched for so long, it's almost like when Family Guy ends, that's when I'll stop watching it. And I admit that almost every episode that comes out is bad. Recently, there's a character, I can't even fucking remember the character's name, but it's like a new adversary for Stewie, and it's played by the guy who voices the dad on Rick and Morty, and he's in like so many other things now. They've done too many episodes about this character. They've got to stop. Moving on to the 7s, we've got The Masked Singer, Better Call Saul, Squid Game, and Celebrity Big Brother. Obviously, you know most of these. Squid Game, did you end up watching this ever?
The first episode of it, but I think I turned it off for some reason.
Yeah. It was okay. The thing is, I mean, I didn't like fall into the hype of it, but when people started talking about it, Taylor's like, we should just watch it. I'm like, okay, yeah, whatever. She showed me a clip of it on TikTok. I think, like, you know, just whatever the trailer is. And I'm like, okay, yeah, that seems interesting. We watched the whole thing. We did watch the dub. People think, you know, whatever. I'm not opposed to subtitles, but, like, when the dub exists, I'm like, I'll just watch the dub. I enjoyed it, but the thing is, like, by the time it ended, I was just like, Okay. Celebrity Big Brother, which actually, by the time this episode airs, will be coming out and airing its 3rd season. That's really exciting. Can't wait to see who's in the cast. This was pretty interesting. This is right before we get to the top 10 shows. iCarly has 8 mentions this year, and American Horror Story has 9. I watched both the original and the revival series of iCarly this year. I don't know why. There was a moment in my journal where I keep talking, where I was like, this is a complete regression. I am a child. I have regressed. And now we get into the top 10 TV shows this year. This is where the real meat and potatoes of the television hours were spent. At 10, with 11 mentions each, CSI, the original crime show taking place in Las Vegas, which we watched to prepare for the revival. And American Dad, the 3rd Seth MacFarlane show to make an appearance. That's all 3, right? Yeah, American Dad, Family Guy, and The Cleveland Show. What can I say? Huge Seth MacFarlane fan. Number 9, King of the Hill, 12 mentions. I watched a lot of King of the Hill in 2021, and I realized after a while that it's not as good as we used to think it was. I mean, the original episodes and like the first 4 or 5 seasons really, really are. But then it just becomes about like, oh, we have a celebrity guest star and all these random ass characters. Number 8 at 15 mentions, America's Got Talent. We watched a whole season, and I think we watched a season live as it was airing. Number 7, Shark Tank with 16 mentions. Shark Tank is definitely still one of my must-watch shows. Every time there's an episode, I watch it the next morning. It's just comforting. I love the theme song still. Boom, 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 boom. I love it. Some episodes are not as good as the others, and I don't know. Kevin Hart was recently on one of the Sharks, which I thought was weird. Number 6, Little People, Big World. We got 23 mentions. Yeah. 23 times I mentioned Little People, Big World. Of course, it's the TLC series following the Roloff family, who Matt and Amy Roloff have achondroplasia, dwarfism, and they raise a family of 3 average height children and 1 dwarf child. Good Mythical Morning breaks into the top 5 with 25 mentions. I know I said I kind of weaned myself off of it, and I don't really like it, but it's there. It's there every day, and listen, sometimes I'll watch it, sometimes I won't. I'm unsubscribed. Officially right now, I am unsubscribed. I have watched a couple episodes in 2022, but not too many. The thing is, I'm tired of it. But if it's an interesting concept, I'll still watch it. If I have nothing else to do, I'll still watch it. It brings me some level of comfort, but it's not as good as it used to be by any means. Number 4, with 27 mentions, Keeping Up with the Kardashians. We watched a lot of Keeping Up with the Kardashians this year. It started with watching the 19th season, which was like the newest at the time. And then we went back and I was like, I want to watch some episodes with specifically Bruce Jenner. Sorry. I just want to relive those. I want to go back and watch those. Caitlyn Jenner was a fun character on Keeping Up with the Kardashians. She, before and after she transitioned, was my favorite character on the show. And so I wanted to go back and just relive seasons that they were a part of. With 53 mentions each, they have tied for number 3, Sister Wives and Dance Moms. Now, Dance Moms has been a staple of mine with Taylor for a couple years now, but Sister Wives was a huge thing this year. We started watching it this year. I had seen it back in the past, but we started watching it from the beginning this year, binge watched it. We got her mom into it. We got my grandma into it. I mean, to small extents. But that's how much we were watching Sister Wives. It was constantly on the TV. It's must-watch TV for me. Every Sunday there's a new episode, and thank God for Discovery Plus, because it's available same day. I don't have to wait until Monday to watch it. Not only that, I don't have to wait until 10 p.m. when it airs. I can watch it first thing in the morning if I wanted to, and sometimes I do. Number 2, with 65 mentions, Big Brother. I watched a lot of Big Brother this year, including Big Brother 23, the season that aired live this year. It was a little boring. I support the Cookout, which was an an all African American. It was a 6-person African American alliance that joined together explicitly because they were African American, and they all had the similar goal of seeing a black person win the show. They were the most successful alliance in Big Brother history, I would say, because they steamrolled the competition, got to the final 6, and ensured that a black person would win. And yeah, Xavier, he's a great winner. He, whatever. But I'm always more of a fan of the women, and I really do think Tiffany, who won America's Favorite Player, was really doing more of the work, but, she didn't make it to the end, so what can you say? I love Big Brother, though. Like I said, I'm very excited for Celebrity Big Brother getting ready to come back, and Big Brother 24 will be airing at some time in 2022, so that, I'm sure, it'll continue to be a big part. Number 1, if you know me, 2021 and 2020 were huge years for a certain show. I've already mentioned 2 other iterations of said show. It's Survivor, folks, but I think you'll be shocked to learn that I mentioned it 125 times.
Lord.
125 days this year, I watched Survivor. Now, I should say, and at one point I was keeping track of how many times I mentioned each season, but that became too monotonous. I have seen all 41 seasons of Survivor, and I think that's reflected in my data here. So there's your top 10 TV shows, and I definitely think, just even by looking at it, it's almost 100% reality TV. Survivor, Big Brother, Sister Wives, 100%. Dance Moms, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Little People, Big World, Shark Tank, America's Got Talent. 8 of the top 10 are reality TV. Crazy stuff, but it's mindless. It's fun to watch, I guess. But now, folks, we get into the important data. Folks, this year, now I didn't start this until about halfway through March, so I will give it that caveat. I started putting stickers on every day. It's a tie-dye hearted sticker, and I started putting a sticker any day that we had sex. Now, the reason that I did that was because I wanted to keep track. I just wanted to know. It's not to hold it against Taylor, oh, we haven't had sex in 4 days, but I want to know, I like to know. So what I did when I went through my journal, until I actually instituted the sex sticker, as I call it, which is halfway through March, I went through my journal and read every entry and highlighted added a sticker for the ones that I actually mentioned that I had sex in. But for those first 3 months, what I've done is count the actual confirmed mentions of sex, but then afterwards I averaged them back up because I know there are days before I started keeping track with the sticker that I had sex but didn't mention it in the journal entry because there was other things to write about. That being said, everything from after March is the actual official data. So in January, I had sex 4 times. Now, like I said, that is an asterisk because I definitely probably had sex more than 4 times in January, but I didn't have the sticker yet. But I mentioned it 4 times. February, we went up to 6. Again, that's a nice asterisk because, like I said, March back down to 4 with an asterisk. Now, those are all actual confirmed. I mentioned having sex 4 times and 4 in those months. Now, from this point forward, these are all confirmed. This is everything I had sex with, unless it slipped my mind, but it didn't. In April, we had sex 5 times. It must have been a bad month, I guess. In May, 5 times again. June,
Damn.
we were humping like rabbits. It was hot out, and my sex drive's always about at this point where I think 11 should be the average. But June, 11, we had sex 11 times. July, down to 10, still a good number. August, down to 8. I was really depressed. August is when I started substitute teaching. And my world was shattered when I started substitute teaching, and I had no interest in really anything. So honestly, having sex 8 times is pretty impressive. By September, listen, it's the record. September is the record. 13.
That must be depressed going into having sex for comfort.
Yeah, I guess. Right. In September, and it's my birthday, we had sex 13 times. That is the record for 2021. In October, it was back down to 8. November, back up to 12. And in December of 2021, we had sex 11 times. So, to total that all up, we had sex 97 times in 2021, which really just... Why couldn't we have had sex 3 more times? You know what I mean? Like, why couldn't it have just been an even 100? Now, like I said, that averaged out to 8 a month. Going back to this other slide, like I said, these first 3 months, if the average is 8, I went ahead and bumped them up to 8 for the estimated total. 97 is how many times confirmed we had sex, but I estimate, based on the average, that in those first 3 months, we would have then totally had sex maybe 107 times. But confirmed 97.
That's pretty impressive though, like every 3 days.
Yeah, that's pretty impressive. And don't get me wrong, it felt good. Like it was great. And I mentioned the only time this whole year that I had sex more than once in one day was August 26th, 2021, when we had sex twice in one day. And that was... God, that was a great day. But that's included in the 97, of course. So, folks, that's my journal data. A lot of data to break down, a lot of stuff to talk about there. But I thought it was an interesting thing to go back through, honestly. Definitely shows you a lot more of your habits than you might realize, I guess. Like, I was shocked by the number of TV shows I mentioned. And knowing that some days, like, I would only write about my anxiety and not talk about TV at all, or, like, anything else, like, I know there's more that I didn't mention. And like I said, my Letterboxd piles up every day. But that's enough about the data. I had sex 97 times.
That's a lot.
Yeah, that is a lot. I looked it up just because I was curious, and it said, according to Google, the average couple has sex 53 times a year, so we're above average.
That definitely seems above average to me every 3 days.
Yeah, that's a lot of sex. And Taylor, if you're listening, thank you. Thank you, and let's keep doing it, baby. But genuinely, though, maybe I'm a sex addict. I can't help it. Because I could genuinely, like we talked about in that one episode about unprotected sex, I think I could have sex every day. Maybe I couldn't really, but I like to think I could.
I don't think I could. It's a lot of work.
It is a lot. It is a lot of work. Well, folks, before we go, I want to take a moment because last episode we talked about me rescuing a cat. I just want to mention what has gone on. She's still with us, and you might note I'm calling her a she. Her name, originally, we just referred to her as Bud. But when we went to the vet, we took the cat in, and I was like, look, they're very sick. I just want to see what we can do. And they called me back, and they were like, listen, she's very anemic. She has a terrible upper respiratory infection. The prognosis isn't good, and even with, like, intense hospitalization, we're not sure that she's going to make it, is what they told me. And they did recommend euthanasia, but only because after I said, well, I don't think I can afford much of the treatment that you're talking about. And she was like, okay, like, I understand. We talked a lot about, like, this wellness plan, but the wellness plan is for cats that are already healthy, not cats that are sick. And so none of the treatment that she would need would have been covered anyway. So we decided to try the thing that was the most causing her the most problems, really, was the upper respiratory infection. It was causing her a lot of mucus. She didn't have any appetite because she couldn't breathe, so she didn't smell any food. She wasn't drinking anything. Her nose was covered in mucus. Her eye was constantly, like, being glued shut with mucus. So we decided to... The vet went ahead and gave her subcutaneous fluid, which is basically like an IV, and to just get some fluids back into her. And then we were sent home with antibiotics that would try to take care of the upper respiratory infection. The next day was really traumatic because she was like out of it completely. Her eyes were completely shaking back and forth. Like, I didn't think she was going to make it through another day. And I was sobbing over her bed. I was saying prayers out loud, even though I'm an atheist. it was bad. I was in a real bad place. I was like, this poor cat is just going to suffer and die right now. And I went in and started feeding her medicine and squirting food down her throat with a syringe and water down her throat and going in every few hours and keeping doing it. And I was just like, when I went to bed, I said another prayer and I'm like, basically said goodbye because I did not think she was going to wake up in the morning. But she did, and she was a lot better. Her eyes could stay straight. She could open her eyes. All the mucus was like gone. As soon as I brought the food close to her face in the syringe and squirted it in her mouth, now that her nose was clear and she was more alert, she went fucking ravenous. I mean, literally shoving her face into the food, literally shoving her face into the bowl and getting she bloodied her nose, shoving it into the bowl so hard because she wanted food so bad. Guzzling water. So suffice it to say, she's getting a little bit better. I'm still worried about her. I mean, there's still the cause of the anemia that we don't know what's causing the anemia, but we're hoping that once the infection is cured, and she's still got it's been officially a week that we've had her, 8 days that we've had her, and I think this will be day 4 or 5 of her antibiotics of 10 days. So we're hoping that maybe once that infection's completely clear, and that she's already starting to eat, she's already definitely starting to shit. It smells disgusting.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, it's awful. She's made me puke twice cleaning up her fucking diarrhea,
Ew.
the sick, nasty bitch. And the thing that's most, listen, this is all, happy problems. I'm glad she's pooping. I'm glad she's peeing. I'm glad she's ravenous to eat again because she was so weak, so small, so frail, so sick. So, all of this is good things. She's slowly getting stronger, slowly starting to walk again. She's still falling over a lot. But each day, she seems to be doing a little bit better. So I am cautiously optimistic that, things are getting better for her. But again, we don't know what was causing the anemia, so she still could be, riddled with parasites that are, just eating her blood away. But she has another appointment at the vet, and like I said, of course, I'll keep you guys updated on her. And officially, when they told us she was a girl, we changed her name from Bud, which was just a replacement for just anyway. It was never going to be her name. But once they said that she might not make it very long, I'm like, I really want her to have a name. If we're the only people that ever take care of her and then she dies in a week, I want her to have a name. I want her to have been loved. I don't want to just call her Buddy and here kitty kitty. So officially her name is Rosebud, as an homage to her original name, Bud. But we just referred to her as Rose and Rosie. What can I say? I mean, we're taking it one day at a time. It's a little frustrating how active she wants to be because she's just throwing herself around in that room and falling over and spilling bowls of water all over herself. And then she doesn't want to stay in the bed, but we can't bring her out because she's sick. And so we lock the girls away, and then she just wants to come out and just sit there. So it's okay, we got to put you back in your bed, but she doesn't want to be in the bed. But it's all good things because she's living. And that's all we really wanted. So I still don't know what the end goal is. I think we're ultimately planning to keep her if she lives, but I think that's all still really up in the air. So folks, keep her in your thoughts, keep her in your prayers. We're looking out for Rosie. But I think that was a good episode myself.
Uh-huh.
I think all this data and got some big red going on. So folks, until next time, stay moat.
You gonna come on? You gonna flip?